Da, 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 da. Look who it is. Look who I have. It's a fresh new face for We Talking About Sports. It's Mr. Yoshiris. I'm going to welcome you first. We can save all the intros for later. Welcome to the show. We also have Big Paps Revenge here with us. But most importantly, you're here. And you're here because of this right here, UFC. We called out the big guns. And we got Yosh on the show. Welcome. Before we get into anything, what's up, man? Thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate it.
I'm glad I got the call, last minute.
Yeah.
I'm like the second man, not the hero you need, but the one you deserve.
I
I'm here for y'all.
love
Hey
it.
Yosh, in a fight card filled with replacements and short notice,
Ooh.
it's only right that we called you on short notice
All right.
and like a real company man. And we talking about sports, ride or die.
I rep the brand, bro. I rep the brand.
You answer the call, baby. Here we are. Who better to have on than the king of the Nurmagomedovs? The biggest Nurmagomedov fan there is out there. We've got an Abu Dhabi card. We've got Ron. We've got Yosh. I'm here with y'all tonight. We're going to talk about the main card, UFC pay-per-view. Ron, get us into it, brother.
All right, let's get into it. What I'm doing right now is what everybody else should do. If you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, when the little light is red, man, when that little We Talking About Sports logo, when it's red around our logo and it says live, click on that so you can go ahead and join us. So thanks everybody for watching, everybody who's in the chat already. But let's get into it. All right, let's lower down the music and let's get a little serious. So the UFC returns to Abu Dhabi, UFC 294 happening this Saturday, October 21st. Tell me something a little bit about the time, guys, because this isn't your conventional prelims are at 5, then the other prelims at 7, then you get your main pay-per-view at 9 p.m. Who wants to talk about the time of this so everybody that's watching can know when to tune in?
Yeah, this is an early bird gets the worm. This is a, cafecito in the morning while wifey's cooking up the chorizo and egg or the potato and egg, but
Potato pop.
you're going to be getting chingazos for breakfast. You're going to be getting, chingazos for brunch, bottomless mimosas, whatever you want to do. They're fighting out in Abu Dhabi, and it's an early morning card for us. I believe the pay-per-view card starts at noon for us. Prelims do start at 7, 8 a.m. So I like these cards. Yosh, do you like the early morning cards? Do you like the conventional night cards? I mean, do you like these sprinkled in? How do you feel about it?
I like them. I like them sprinkled in. It's always nice to get once every 3 months, a little earlier in the afternoon, for sure. I just hope it doesn't coincide with any good college football. But besides that, it's really good to have them in the afternoon. I can remember, if I'm not wrong, the last one in the afternoon was February, which was actually Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. If I'm not mistaken, that was the last afternoon card. And that was a really, really good card. So I'm hoping we get the return,
Josh says as long as they don't play the same time as Alabama plays, todo está bien. I don't want to miss the Alabama game. Or go to Justin's house, bro, and get the 2 TV set up. But that's enough banter. All right, let's get into the fights, boys. Y'all ready?
Let's do it. Saturdays are always 2 TVs. Saturdays and Sundays are 2 TVs.
All right, so the first fight that we have on the card is going to be somebody who, I mean, you guys are going to have to bear with me because I'm butchering every single name on this card.
This is going to be the fun part of this episode right here. Ron saying all of these names.
Nurmagomedov versus Muin Gafurov. All right, so we have Muin Gafurov. This is going to be a bantamweight fight. They're come in with their last fights. They both took L's, 5'8". They're fighting at 136, 70-inch reach for both of them, and they're about 38 inches tall. The odds are up there on the screen. Huge favorite, minus 235 here, and plus 80 for the underdog. Boys, who wants to lead us in?
I'll let Josh, because like I said, he's the king of the Nurmagomedovs. So I know Josh does like Saeed. So Josh, what you got this fight?
It's only the certain Nurmagomedovs. Like, I'm all cool with the lower weight class and the Bellator Nurmagomedovs. You can keep that Habib and Islam stuff away from me. But yeah, man, I really like Saeed. Saeed's shown a lot of potential. Like I said, I like the lighter weight Russians because they got that dog in them. They always either walk down or like get those early subs. And I feel like Saeed could probably be like a performance of the night. Probably get through this in first round. He's on the bounce back, coming off a loss to the guy who knocked out Adrian Yanez last week. I think it's Jonathan Martinez, if I'm not wrong.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a tougher matchup, like you said. That just shows the level of competition he's in. He's just there outside the top 15. He's got to get himself 1 or 2 wins and probably dabble back into the top 15. And this is a good one for him.
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like you're pretty set on Saeed. Maybe more to come on that, towards the end of the show. I tend to agree with you here. I think that this is a setup fight for him. I mean, he's getting Gafurov here, who lost in the Contender Series about 2 years ago, went and fought some LFA fights, got a short notice call, to come back and fight in the UFC, and lost that one as well. Lost a unanimous decision to John Castañeda. So he is tough. His losses have been by either unanimous or split decisions. Saeed is not the biggest finisher himself. He has 20 pro fights, 9 finishes out of the 20, so a little under 50%. But you got to think, in the regional scene, a lot more of those are finishes. In the UFC, he hasn't had so many finishes. So I do like him to win this fight. Maybe a performance of the night, like you said, maybe he styles. But I think that this one, we see the judges' scorecards, and, Nurmagomedov in Abu Dhabi, probably going to get the decision there, regardless of how the fight goes. Maybe Gafurov makes it a little tougher, but I'm with you, Josh. I got Saeed, but I do like the over in this one. What do you think about the over?
I'm not convinced. Give me Saeed by finish before the 15 minutes goes.
Okay. A little bit of disagreement there. And from, like I said, a Nurmagomedov expert. That's why we brought Josh on the show. So he's got him getting it done by finish. Gafurov is somebody who doesn't have a lot of UFC experience. Just one fight outside of the Contender Series. Lost both by decision. Ron, any input here, or what are you thinking?
No, I'm going to make it a unanimous WTBS pick on Saeed. Obviously, I'm not laying the money line straight at minus 235. I mean, that's just crazy. You'd have to lay, for people who don't understand betting yet, you would have to lay $235 on Saeed just to get $100 in return. I would like to put that in a nice parlay piece. And if you stick around on the show, we're going to get to the best bets at the very end. So this is the first fight out of 5 fights that we're going to cover. We're all pretty much done here. Unanimous pick right here, boys. Saeed wins. Josh thinks it'll be early. Ben thinks it'll go to decision. So in that place, we are a little torn. But if you guys in the chat want to put in your input, who you think wins, maybe Muin pulls off the upset. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Muin.
Before we go, has he fought in the UFC? Because
Yes.
I was trying to look for pictures, right, boys? And I'm like, Google searching him and trying to, get a nice picture of him. And I didn't see any of him in the UFC cages. I saw him in one and some other regional.
He fought in the Contender Series in 2021, and he lost the decision.
Oh,
and then
but other than that, no
June.
UFC experience.
Yeah, in the UFC, he fought in June, his debut. He lost a 3-round unanimous decision to John Castañeda. So he has one UFC fight under his belt. Like I said, I think this is another setup fight, so he'll probably lose a decision. Josh says maybe earlier. We'll find out. This is a curtain jerker for the pay-per-view.
All right, man. All right, so that's the first fight of the pay-per-view. And if you do need to watch the pay-per-view, hit us up because we have, somebody that we know who can get you a nice little deal on the pay-per-view. That's all we're going to say. All right, hit us up. Gorilla Box is available for our viewers. All right, second fight here, boys. Ikram Aliskerov, ranked number 11 in the middleweight division against a huge underdog in Warley Alves. All right, I'll give you the tell of the tape and then let you guys take it from there. A ver, who do we got here? All right, it's not opening up for me, so you guys can just go ahead and take it here. Who's your winner, and how do you think the fight ends up?
Yeah, I'll just go real quick. I think that Aliskerov, rightfully so, is the favorite. We've got a more aged Warley Alvarez. We see sometimes we get Warley Alvarez come out with really good performances. I believe that he had an awesome one against Billy Algeo recently, but then you also go and see him get dominated. I think this is another guy, Ikram Aliskerov, which I think the line tells you exactly what they're thinking with this fight. This is just going to be a younger, bigger fighter. I think he's going to be too much pressure for Worley. I do think that he's going to get Worley Alvarez out of there. So I do like Ikram. I like Ikram inside the distance. I don't have a line on that. Might get that, maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday, a little bit closer to the pay-per-view time. But I'm going to ride with the favorite, and I'm going to say by finish, that might be a little more bettable than the minus 700.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with Ben as far as the pick goes. I was actually supposed to watch Aliskerov. He was scheduled to go with Paulo Costa back at 291 in Utah, but that got scrapped, which was supposed to more than likely probably because they made this fight for Paulo Costa. It was probably just a setup for Costa to fight Chimaev in Abu Dhabi, just because Costa has that big following, and this is one of those element dudes. The Abu Dhabi loves their Russians, those people with the complicated last names. So go ahead and give me. I remember Worley being a long time name said, just always thrown here and there, very inconsistent. Give me Aliskerov.
Inside the distance, you think decision?
I'm gonna say inside. That's too big of a number for them to go to decision.
Yeah, and I mean, Yosh, you even mentioned it. He was matched up against Paulo Costa. What type of drop-off is this, right? This is an over-the-hill Worley Alvarez, a guy that's just sticking along, like you said, on namesake and, putting his name under some of these up-and-coming prospects' belts as they climb the ladder is good for the UFC, because when you bring up their last 5 fights or whatever it is, a Worley Alvarez, that's a recognizable name, just how long he's been in the sport. So I do believe that this is a setup fight. I would be disappointed if Ikram didn't get him out of there inside the distance. But yeah, I would say it's going to be unanimous on Aliskerov.
Posted the under and over here. So the under 1.5 is minus 180, and you have an over 1.5 at plus 150. So what that means is that the fight at least has to go 1 full round and 2.5 minutes into the second round. So what's your option there? Because you're not going to drop cash on a minus 700 guy, and the plus 425 guy is just too much of a risk. Plus 150 and minus 180 on the over-under. If you had to pick a side, who you got?
Yeah, obviously you're not going to play a minus 700 straight, but if you're doing a little parlay action, this is a card where you got a lot of these lines, hanging around and more than minus 200 to up to 500, 600, 700. So some of these are just going to be walk in the park. They're putting them out there to perform for the Saudi fans that are going there to root for these guys. This is what we talk about setting up fights, in other countries, how guys pad their records. This is pretty much what's going on just with the UFC. So I wouldn't be opposed to putting Askarov in a parlay, even at that. It's gonna be a little filler, and I think it's a pretty obvious one. But I do like the under 1.5 also. I think that he should get Worley out there. He's gonna be a lot bigger. He should get him out of there early. It's just minus 180 is a little steep for, what is that? 7.5 minutes of fighting?
Yeah, this is going to be one side I will disagree with you on. I was looking at Alvarez's record a while back, and a lot more of his fights, even the most recent ones that he's lost, have gone a little bit longer than the first round. So I'm going to say that it does go later, and maybe that's a sprinkle bet. Maybe we sprinkle on the over 1.5, because that plus is pretty interesting.
Yeah, Worley's a vet. Maybe he can just hang around there long enough. I'm not saying I'm taking the under. I don't like it because of the juice that it has.
Yeah, it's way too much.
But I see your point at the sprinkling that Worley can last 7 minutes and 31 seconds with this guy. It's going to be a big physical disadvantage for Worley. We'll see if the Russian can get him out of there.
All right, so another unanimous decision on Ikram here for the boys, but we are split on the under and over. So let's get to the next fight and see where the odds take us here, boys. I think it's not going to be as much of a difference here on the prices. This is a little bit closer, but clearly still here. Magomed Ankalaev at minus 365 going against Johnny Walker at plus 270 in the light heavyweight bout. This is the third fight on the UFC card right before the co-main event. Walker's ranked number 7th, and then Walker being ranked number 2 before we get to the odds. Top 2 in any division, it means you're huh?
You said Walker's number 7, right?
Yeah, Walker's number 7 and Ankalev's number 2. So being in the top 3, I mean, a title fight is probably in your near future. If he goes through Walker, which it seems like Vegas thinks that he does at minus 161, at minus 365, how many more fights till he gets a title fight, or is a title fight next, or what's the situation there before we get into the betting portion of it?
Yeah, go ahead, Yosh.
I believe Ankalaev hasn't touched the octagon since he had that last very, very, very controversial title fight with Jan Blachowicz. I believe, honestly, when I remember watching that fight, I remember watching it with my brother Gabe and thinking that this guy won unanimously. I thought it was 4-1. Like,
relax.
No, like it's just one of the judges, throwing the mask bomb in the octagon. They like blew it completely. Like this guy really would have been our champion. Maybe the thing is, I don't see him as much as a marketable fighter, but when you got one of those long beards, and this guy's stand up is not to be messed around with. Ankalaev is so fun to watch. He's got that dog in him. I'm not too big on Johnny Walker. There was times where I did root for him, but I don't know. He's been looking good. He's there out in SPG with Kavanaugh. It's not that great of a place to be. Probably better now that Katona actually won the Ultimate Fighter, but who knows? But I'm for sure staying one-sided on this. Give me Ankalaev all day. He's going to win some more fights, and if it's in Father's plan, get that rematch. Get that rematch for that title shot soon. That he rightfully deserved to win. Because if you go back and watch that fight, you can give him 4 rounds against Blachowicz. And that's because I was rooting for Blachowicz that night.
I mean, to your point, he's 18-1. His last fight was a draw. He's 6'3", 205 with a 75-inch reach. But he's a smaller dude. Walker does come in at 6'6", 3 inches taller, weighing a little bit more, and he has a 7-inch reach advantage at 82 inches opposed to 75. Does that worry you at all, Ben? Or are you just going to go ahead and do a consensus pick with Josh and take the favorite here?
Johnny Walker has that crazy, power, that out of nowhere power, that Kevin Holland knocking out Jacare from his back, with the hammer fist. That's what Johnny Walker has. So I can see Johnny Walker rocking Ankalaev at any point in this fight as long as it's standing up. This is also Ankalaev who we've seen, tap out to Paul Craig with 2 seconds left in the fight. Talk about having the dog in him and not having the dog in him. You don't tap out with 2 seconds left, in the 3rd round of a fight, and that's your only loss in your career is to the Bear Jew Paul Craig. I see why he's favored because, like Josh says, it's father's plan. He was very close to being a champion, and that would have been horrible for him to be champion because not only is he not marketable, but he's just not fun to watch. In my opinion, he's not very fun to watch. He's a crotch sniffer. He's shooting takedowns from everywhere as soon as he gets tagged once. He's going to be out there. He might impregnate Johnny Walker. That's definitely his best path to victory. But like I said, I could see Johnny Walker catching him at any point in this fight as long as it's standing up. He's been on a run. Josh, we like to clown on that camp, right? And John Kavanaugh over there at SBG. I know you shouted him out due to Brad Katona winning the Ultimate Fighter, but Johnny Walker has kind of found his groove over there at SBG.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I love to rep the Connor brand. I'm one of those Connor guys, but it's just, like I said, it's just a little harder for me with Johnny. Just because, like I said, the stand-up's there. This guy can wrestle. I just see everything saying Ankalaev all night in this octagon. I'm looking at the odds at the bottom, and I think we could even, if this is every camp that Ankalaev has had except for that Paul Craig fight, give me Ankalaev under 1.5. I like the odds for the under 1.5. That's probably another sprinkle, just depending on if your winnings, if your early parlays cash, you got some interesting sprinkle there.
Yeah, I think that Ankalaev by sub would be better than just taking the over under 1.5. Just because 1.5, I mean, is he going to get him to the ground right away? I don't think that. Do you expect Ankalaev? What's his path here? You think his path is taking him down and smothering him? does that take a little bit of time? And maybe that's where the over-under 1.5, isn't so playable?
I'd say it's going to be TKO. But I think it'll go from stand up, and then he'll flip that switch to go to wrestle him down quick, and then he'll flip the switch once he sees that Johnny's rocked. He'll just make it a very uncomfortable fight and just lay on him, and it'll be ground and pound till the ref takes him off.
Walker goes out on his shield, so I see why the under is favored, because he puts himself out there, right? He throws the big shots. He tries, the crazy stuff in there, and that's been, kind of the knock on him is his fight IQ is as smart as a can of rocks. He really doesn't have a fight IQ, and maybe that's what going over there with John Kavanagh has switched. Maybe, John Kavanagh is running that corner a little bit better than what it was being run before, as far as the fight IQ and just telling him what he needs to hear after rounds. So like Gene says in the comments, Walker plays around too much. This is a guy that we've seen miss a year of fighting because he dislocated his shoulder doing the worm, celebrating after a victory, right? I think Johnny Walker had the hype train on him so early, and so many of us were disappointed because he would go in there and pull stunts, on multiple occasions. And we're kind of just off of him. We don't trust him. Ankalaev definitely has a lot better fight IQ, aside from, running into that triangle of Johnny of the Bear Jew Paul Craig with, 2 seconds left in the round. But yeah, safe pick is Ankalaev. I do think Johnny Walker's live. And like, I would agree with Josh, I guess, on the under. I'm not going to play the under, but Johnny Walker's, he's a madman. He's a wild man. So the under's always in play with him.
Agreed.
Who we got next?
Here, but in this one, there is a little bit of a sprinkle on Walker, so do not shy away. If you have some extra cash, if you beat the bookie on Monday Night Football,
you're sprinkling, Ron?
Maybe Walker by like TKO. I know I'm getting a lot higher than plus 70.
Mm-hmm.
Walker TKO would be nice. Walker by knockout, I mean, you're probably looking plus 350, 400.
I think 400.
Yeah, so you throw a little 20 on it, get 80 back for, $100 bet. All right, so let's just move on. We're getting to the co-main event of the evening. And that is going to be somebody that I can't pronounce, Khamzat Chimaev, ranked number 4 in the middleweight division, going up against Kamaru Usman, which is I didn't think he was ranked, but I mean, I guess he's still the number 1 contender, right? At plus 215, Chimaev at minus 285 here, boys. All right, let me take you into the little tail of the tape here. This one should work right here. So we have Usman coming in from Nigeria and United Arabs from Chimaev, but you know what? It's not letting me get this one either. So take it away, boys. Give me your pick for the fight. Tell me why, and tell me where I should lay my money.
I know Yosh is a little more convinced. I'm gonna be a gentleman and let you go first on this one, Yosh.
All right, yeah. So Khamzat's coming off the biggest bag fumble, probably. At least we think. There's been a lot of speculation that his last card that he was on, where he fought Kevin Holland, was originally supposed to give Nate Diaz the goodbye, that he was forced to miss weight. There's been a lot of rumors here and there tossed around. Not really anything's really been truly said, but he's been known for ragdolling his opponents at 170, forced to move up because of the big weight miss. So now he's at 85. And you got the champ, Kamaru Usman, hate to see what it's setting up to be, because, Kamaru had his fair share of wins. Wasn't the most enjoyable fighter, but was pretty dominant when he was in the octagon. But throughout the last 2 years, maybe there's been a lot of talk about Kamaru's his knees not being there, his knees being shot. You hear Joe Rogan on the podcast saying that he had walking problems. Like, it's just, this is not who you want to be up against, especially if you're having any problems. You don't want any little information of the camp being out. They call Khamzat the Wolf. I think the Wolf eats. Give me Khamzat. And this is only a 3-round fight, right?
This is only a 3-round fight.
That's going to be more than enough. because I think Hamzat does it with under 1.5. I'm not sure if the line's set at 2.5. Like I said, dude, if Marty's got no knees.
Hey, chill out.
This is not. I appreciate everything Usman did, the things he did, but we saw that video. We were talking about that video earlier, where him and Gaethje are doing an open workout, I believe, and he said, and they zoom in and they see him say, "I feel something pop." Like I said, this guy has not been healthy, and Hamzat sees his prey and eats just like a wolf should.
Hey, well, that over-under is at 2.5, and the under is actually plus money. So it sounds like you're going to be all over that. Now, plus money?
Give it to me. Give me 2 units on it.
Oh, I think you're underestimating Kamaru Usman. I think that if you talk about his last fight with Leon Edwards, yes, he lost, but he didn't. I mean, he got finished in the first one. The second one was never close to being finished. But, can Hamzat hang with a guy like, Leon Edwards? I don't know. I think that at this line, if you're getting Usman at plus 2-1, I think you got to be on Usman. I also think that if maybe you have live betting available, it might be better just to wait and do it after round 1, because that's going to be Khamzat's strongest round. Is the first round. He's going to come out hard. So he'll probably have the first round in the bank, and then that's where Usman's going to have to work for the second and third. But I do like Usman in this fight. I would say Usman by decision would be my route to victory. I think whoever wins this fight is going to win by decision. I understand what you're saying about Usman's knees, but, Khamzat's not the guy that's really throwing leg kicks and battering up knees and whatnot. The first round is going to be his best shot to get Usman out of there. After that, I think Usman settles down. This shit, in my dream scenario, this is Usman giving him a vet lesson. That's what this is. I don't know if he's jumping in there for the money grab on short notice. That's not a Kamaru Usman move, although he's been the champ for so long, and champs don't jump in on short notice like that. But give me Usman at plus 215, a line that I don't think we'll ever get again on him as long as he's in the UFC.
Wow. Ben coming out and taking the 215 dog in the co-main event. Ben's a little bit of an OG. He's got the WTBS original shirt on, which you can get at WTBS.store. The QR code is up there at the top. We have a couple left. I think we only got them big boy sizes, that we from Texas, those kind of sizes. But there are a few available. So he's riding, man. He's riding with the plus 215. Is this the first fight that you guys haven't agreed on?
Yeah, so far I think it is. I think the Nigerian Nightmare, comes out on top here and waits for his title shot.
I like it, and I appreciate everyone watching. We've had Gene in the chat. We had EC in the chat. Justin, our brother who isn't with us right now on the show, but he will be back soon. Gene says if it goes to decision, then Khamzat wins. There is no way Dana lets the guy lose the height.
That's another good point. It's in his backyard, right? So a decision wouldn't really be, that favorable of a thing for Usman. So, with Gene saying that maybe Usman by decision isn't, the best of plays, but I could see him just giving him, the vet lesson. I've always said that there's levels to the UFC, and we saw a lot of people said Gilbert Burns, should have gotten that decision win over Khamzat, so. And we've seen what Usman did to Burns. So there is levels to fighting. We're definitely going to find out if either Usman is cooked here. I don't want it to be, Josh. I don't want it to be like the PED dude, Dillashaw, where he went in there against Aljo with a messed up shoulder, right? And it was never really even a fight. I know that you said you saw that video of Usman saying, something popped with Gaethje when they were just, kind of doing the open mat for the pay-per-view week. But he did come out. He denied it right away. Are you buying into that, or is it kind of just something that's out there, and is that helping you lead to your decision of taking Khamzat, or are you not putting too much stock into that?
No, the biggest thing leading for my decision on Hamza is that it's at 185 too. These guys don't have to drain each other. I just feel like Hamza is gonna be the bigger man. He's gonna go in there and not change his game plan at all. He's gonna go and blitz. It'd be interesting to see if Usman could put up a firefight like my boy Gilbert Burns did, but I just don't see it with Usman's health. The health issues, I just don't see it. I see it, like I said, if the winnings add up, maybe we sprinkle the under easily, but Hamzat's easily the pick.
All right. All right. Well, let's get to the main event. Let's get to the big one. Part 2,
All right.
the rematch.
So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So just like Ben said, man, this is kind of the fight that nobody saw coming, but that everybody wants and is gonna love to see on Saturday, because this wasn't the original fight, right, boys? I mean, this wasn't the original, main card here. Islam Makhachev, which is the champion, and Alexander Volkanovski in the lightweight championship of the UFC at 294 on Saturday. Plus 205 and minus 265. I mean, you never see odds like this, especially for Volk. The tail of the tape here, they're both coming off wins, weighing both, 155-ish, 71-inch reach. The reach is the same, heights 5'6" and 5'10". Yeah, basically mirror images of each other. Just let me know if there's going to be fireworks, is what I want to know, or if this is going to look like a guy who took the fight on 12 days notice, and we're going to have to just Chito Vera it when we saw him live in San Antonio, just kind of like wait for something to pop off. Nothing ever does, and it turns into a complete dud.
Yeah.
Dud or fireworks?
I mean, I think Volk always goes in there, to go out on his shield and always gives you 100%. He doesn't. We've seen him get out of that Brian Ortega guillotine that, 99% of the UFC isn't getting out and is probably tapping, before their head pops off their shoulders. But he's not somebody that quits. So this is the type of guy that you want going in there on short notice. This is a fight that he was wanting, pretty big last year. After the original fight, he was wanting the rematch right away because he thought that he won the fight. Josh, I don't know where you landed on who won. Ron says he thought Volk won. I personally thought Volk won. I had gotten in on him on the live betting as well during the fight. But, he was a bigger dog last time, so they did put a little bit of respect on his name, only putting him at plus 205. But another fight in Islam's backyard. So if it goes to decision like the last one did, you got to think that Islam's going to get a favorable one in Abu Dhabi. Josh, what side are you on here? Do you think that Volkanovski can do it on short notice, or, is father's plan going to live on?
This is where we flip the switch, man. I personally think that Volkanovski is easily the most dominant champion in his own division. Even this fight being at 155, nobody's stopping Volk at 145. This being at 55, I actually did go back. At first, I thought Volkanovski won. This was another fight in February, early February. I remember it being in Australia. Now we're going to a little bit more of Islam's turf out there in Abu Dhabi. So I did think first when I watched it the first time that Volkanovski won. I actually rewatched it and felt like, hey, maybe he really didn't win, just with Islam's takedowns being in place, the 7-minute ground control. It was
just control, Yosh, not much damage.
Opinions. Watching the fight twice, I had 2 different opinions. So who knows, man? I'm just glad we're getting this one back. I really would have loved watching Oliveira fight because I'm way bigger on Oliveira than either of these two. But hey, things happen, Those cuts in sparring are not the best. Sometimes guys get rocked. But give me Alexander the Great, City Kickboxing or Die, the double champion, another double champion. Give me Volkanovski to win.
All right, so Yosh thinks Volk
by finish.
By
under
finish.
4.5. Let's get the under 4.5.
Damn.
Volkanovski winning.
Damn, Yosh jumping out on a limb there, saying under 1.5, under the 4.5 as well. I think most people anticipate this one going to the decision just off the pedigree of both of these fighters. I'm with you, Yosh. I think we're both on the dog here. I think just for what we know as fight fans, getting Volkanovski at this price and knowing that he's going to fight for every penny of, whatever you put on him, I think you can't go wrong with that. I don't, last fight, like you mentioned, it was a lot of control, not a lot of damage. I'm hoping this time around, they score on damage and not so much control. Or maybe Islam, he didn't train for Alexander, right? So this is a short notice fight. This
True.
is they're running it back, and give me Volk at those odds still, because the last one I thought was a coin flip, and if we're getting 2-1 on a coin flip fight, I'm gonna take the 2-1.
All right, so what are we on? Agreeance here on the dog?
Yes, sir.
For all the
All right, I love it. No, I'm gonna go. Three is always better than two. So let's go ahead and just ride Alexander Volkanovski at +205. Maybe you cash on a Johnny Walker play earlier at dog money. Then you just say, hey, you know what? I'm up. I'm playing with house money. Let's throw it all on Volkanovski there. So the main event that was already covered here by the boys. But before we go, one last little segment, which is our favorite segment of the night, and it's gonna be best bets. All right, so let's get into the best bets right here before we go. And we have Josh coming in with your two, Ben coming in with your two. Go ahead and take us into the best bets, boys.
Go ahead, Josh.
All right. So on the prelims, you do have Muhammad Makayev. You got Ankalaev against Walker and Chimaev against Usman. I like all those guys to win decisively. The beard's going to hang low. The beard's going to hang low in Abu Dhabi. And Father's plan's going to be fulfilled for all of those guys. We're going to keep it at a 3-piece parlay and take the juice on Saeed. And that's going to be my place.
All right, and then for me, I'm going to go Makayev. I'm going to do a money line parlay of, some juice. We're going to take it down to -105, but we're going to hit some of the prelims as well. We're going to hit Makayev. We're going to hit Basharat. We know the Basharat brothers are beasts in the UFC. And then Nathaniel Wood, I think he's a curtain jerker for the entire event. So he's a
You love saying that, right?
Yeah, I do like saying curtain
I feel
jerker.
like you love saying
And
that.
I also love the Astros being up 3-0 at the top of the second inning. Baby.
Hey, Josh, tap your screen or something, Dad. I can't. It's really dark over there, pa.
What?
Or maybe you just got the lights off.
All of the lights. So this is where all the lights comes in. But yeah, I'm going to do
All
that
of
3-team
the
parlay for -105. And then on the Sade fight that Josh has him on the money line, I'm going to say over 2.5. I think Sade probably does get it done, but by decision. He's not much of a finisher. Gaffarov is a tough guy, so Sade by decision, and let's cash that over 2.5 in that one.
All right, man. So these are the best bets. They're up there on the screen. If you want to follow us on any of our social medias, on Instagram and on Facebook, Ben's plays are there. Josh's plays are there.
Justin has a play there too. He said, forget the unanimous on Volk. He's got Islam by decision. So wow. I'm sure that you can get closer to even money odds on Islam by decision, maybe even plus money if you want to go that way.
All right. So that's another play there that you can only get if you're watching the show live. But other than that, I think we're out of here, boys. So just follow us on all our social medias. Again, like I said, Instagram, Facebook. We do waiver wire NFL shows on Tuesday. Then we have our Sunday morning sit down for NFL, so you can get your fantasy plays in and all your best bets on there as well. Appreciate everybody watching. And a big shout out to Josh. Man, you didn't have to come on, Josh. You got out of work and you went straight home and you joined us on the show, man. So I appreciate it very much. Thanks to Gene. Thanks to Issy, who was in here. Justin was in here also. Good pod, boys. Thank you, Gene. I appreciate that.
Yeah, really looking
Anything
forward
else that
to
y'all
it.
Want to say?
Really looking forward to it. Just, do you all have plans for the fight? Where are we going to be watching it? I know I'm going to wake up, hit the couch, and just it's going to be a bummy Saturday for me.
I will be in Houston, Texas, God willing. We leave Friday. Maybe catch the game at a bar. Hopefully it's game 4 and the Astros are eliminated and get swept like my Dodgers did. But no, for the fight itself, man, it's day drinking and UFC, baby. That's what it's going to be Saturday. So I'm with it.
Yeah, I got a quick little morning shift I'm going to get by and get out just in time at 1 for the main card. We're going to go see, who knows, we end up at B-Dubs. Maybe we hit up the pasta company. I hit up a few friends. I know my guy Rick is in the comments. Maybe he's in town. Go get it. Go enjoy a bite and a brew and watch Volkanovski reign, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, boys. Regardless of it, it'll be a great weekend for sports, MLB, NFL, and MMA. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for joining. Hit the like, hit the share. And that's all for us, man. We're out.
Yes, sir.